Puppet, Wanderer, Balladeer. These are one of the many names that we call the one known as Scaramouche, sixth of the Fatui Harbingers. This enigmatic character has made a deep impression with Genshin Impact players, some of who are even saving their primogems if he becomes playable. But who exactly is Scaramouche? And what are his intentions? Hello friend, welcome to my channel. Today we will be going over everything we know so far about everyone's favorite Muppet, Scaramouche. This enigmatic and very well-dressed character was first introduced in the 1.1 event Unreconciled Stars, but this is not where his story began. After the loss of her sister Makoto, Raiden A began her relentless pursuit of eternity. To achieve this, she started testing whether she could make a puppet body. She began working on a prototype, a proof of concept for a possible vessel for her gnosis. The prototype was successful, but the puppet shed tears in his dreams, and A saw that he was too fragile to be a vessel. Originally, the puppet was meant to be discarded, but A thought this to be too cruel, and simply sealed away the power within him, and allowed him to continue dreaming. The Song of Life artifact in the Husk of Opulent Dreams artifact set states that he was sent to the Grand Narukami Shrine, but the description for the Plume of Luxury states that the plume itself was left by Raiden A within a mansion, along with a quote-unquote slumbering form. The description for the Shake Pavilion says that this pavilion was built by an ancient warrior to resemble the outside world, and that a deeply disheartened eccentric dwelt within. It can be assumed that the mansion refers to this pavilion, the warrior is A, and the slumbering form was the puppet that was taken there after his stay at the Narukami Shrine. At some point, he was found by a samurai in the Shake Pavilion. Whether he was already awakened by the time he was found is also unknown. The samurai that found him was named Katsuragi, and he was the Yoriki of the Inspector Mikoshi Nagamasa, who worked for the shogunate and had an interest in weaponsmithing. The wandering eccentric, as they called the puppet at the time, stayed in Tatarasuna for a while and befriended Katsuragi, who knew the truth about his identity as the shogun's puppet and cautioned him not to reveal it to anyone. An unknown incident happened that led to the Wanderer leaving the group. In the Rather H Notes collectible, there are no details of the incident. It only says that Nagamasa was looking for the Wanderer and could not find him. In a fit of rage, Nagamasa killed Katsuragi for alleged misconduct, which might have been related to the reason he was looking for the Wanderer in the first place. Eventually, Nagamasa and the Wanderer met again, and it is implied that they crossed blades. Nagamasa's fate afterward remains unknown. At this point, the Wanderer chose the name of Kunikusushi for himself. He began working to get revenge against a bladesmith, which might have been Nagamasa. The Calabash of Awakening briefly tells how Kunikusushi planned to bring about the fall of the Raiden Gokaden, the 5 schools of weaponsmithing in Inazuma. 3 of these schools were lost, with only one surviving and the other one barely clinging on. The artifact states that Kunikusushi abandoned his revenge halfway through, going bored of the scheme, but we knew nothing about these events until the 2.6 update, not so long ago. In the Hues of Violet Garden event, we were able to learn more about Kunikusushi's machinations. The Ishin school was tasked with recreating an important blade, but the swords kept failing. Afraid of punishment, the swordsmith fled. Kaedehara Yoshinori, one of the last practitioners of the Ishin art, along with Commissioner Kamisato, suspected that they were being framed, and that someone had tampered with the diagrams to forge the blade. They followed some clues to the beach, where they found an eccentric stranger. This stranger was none other than Kunikusushi, who confessed to the sabotage and his intentions to destroy the Raiden Gokaden. He fought and defeated both men, severely injuring Commissioner Kamisato, but when confronting Yoshinori, he paused and asked if he had any connection to the name Niwa. Yoshinori explained his connection as a Niwa that was adopted into the Kaedehara clan. Upon hearing this, the stranger simply paused and said, "Tell her this. My name is Kunikusushi," and then he left, abandoning his revenge plot. After this, he wandered for an unknown number of years. The Pale Flame artifact set, which details the recruitment of certain members of the Fatui Harbingers, says the following. Before the Fatui found him, he had drifted for countless years, and in that time, this is what his experience had taught him. I am a human who surpasses all others. Even the gods daren't meddle in my fate. Neither mortal nor god, nor fate itself is qualified to be my judge. I am free to choose how I wish to spend the remainder of my days. Since these mask-wearing people are so fun to be around, I think I'll become one of them. The Fatui, possibly Il Dottore, unsealed the power within him and made some adjustments to his abilities. He effectively joined as the 6th Fatui Harbinger, Scaramouche, the Balladeer, and that is how we come to know him. We first meet him in Mondstadt, where he seems to be aiding a sleeping victim. He describes himself as a vagrant from Inazuma and appears friendly to the traveler and their companions. In truth, he was sent by the Jester to investigate the meteorite phenomena. While doing so, he fell into a dream where he discovered the truth of the world.
The stars, the sky, it's all a gigantic hoax. A lie.
The stars are a lie. What are you talking about?
Yep, and then he leaves, bowing to confront the senior harbinger.
So long, suckers.
Some time passes before we see Scaramouche again, this time in Inazuma. Amid the chaos surrounding the Vision Hunt decree, the Fatui infiltrated Inazuma. When we meet Scaramouche again, he says he is simply following orders and is not the mastermind behind the infiltration. He tells the traveler that the Vision Hunt decree is, in fact, a Fatui plot to create a demand for delusions and prolong the war for their own gain. Enraged, the traveler charges against Scaramouche, but falls in his trap and collapses. A little sidebar, the dialogue in this scene changes depending on if you played on Reconciled Stars before or not. It's subtle changes, but it makes the connection between the traveler and Scaramouche more apparent. Before falling into unconsciousness, the traveler sees Yaemiko approaching Scaramouche before the world goes black. As a player, we don't find this out until much later, but actually, Yaemiko negotiated with Scaramouche, exchanging A's gnosis for the traveler's safety. After the events of this Archon quest where Signora is executed, Scaramouche cuts off all contact with the Fatui. Child is then sent to Inazuma to track him, but isn't able to find him. It turns out that during this time, Kamisato Ayato discovered that someone was trying to sneak into a warehouse where the relics of the Kaedehara clan were being kept. This someone was, yet again, Scaramouche, who didn't find what he was looking for and swiftly left Inazuma by boat. Ayato theorizes that he was looking for a secret, but leaves us wondering which one. From what we know right now, Scaramouche is at sea somewhere, paddling to a destination currently unknown. It is still unclear whether he defected from the Fatui or is simply doing his own thing and will rejoin his comrades at a later point. In the Harbinger preview that released recently, Dottore claimed Scaramouche will be doing his next move. But if it's a move under the purview of the Fatui, or if it's Dottore anticipating his betrayal, remains to be seen. I do want to go over a few more things told through the Husk set, as I think they provide more insight into Scaramouche's character. Bloom Times describes a dream that Scaramouche had. It doesn't say whether this dream was from his time of creation, when he was slumbering in the Shake Pavilion, or perhaps part of the dream he experienced in Unreconciled Stars. In this dream, he saw a young man in the distant past, himself, a pure yet fragile persona that emerged after the suffering had dissipated. He remarks he didn't know he could dream, alluding it to a researcher's trick, again, possibly Dottore since he seems to be the right candidate for unsealing Scaramouche's power. In this dream, he says, "You once acquired the heart that you always dreamed of, but it was but a mere prop for lies and deception. Now you will finally obtain what belongs to you, and this false construct of a body can at last aspire to power over this world." This heart seems to refer to the delusion given to him by the Tsaritsa. Though we haven't seen it, it is said that all harbingers possess one. What quote-unquote belongs to him is A's gnosis, which we can assume would connect him to Celestia and give him additional power. However, what catches my attention the most are the very last lines. Yet, this is all but a fleeting dream of glory, and it will all one day drift away amidst the sighs of a suffering earth. Was it a him from the past who said this, or him from the future? The vagrant cared not, for when he awakened, it was not he, but the ethereal future that dissipated. To me, this last part has different implications. We know that time in Teyvat has proven to be unpredictable, with leyline disorders and pockets where time flows differently. In A's character quest, we saw that something she was experiencing in the present had consequences in the past, which might be the same case with Scaramouche's dream. He speaks of something of himself that will emerge after suffering, and again of some size of a suffering Earth and a future that dissipated. This is particularly interesting as in the Calabash of Awakening, Scaramouche refers to his life as a play in 3 acts. He muses, perhaps a day will come when this body's adventures, its experiences, will become tales to be passed along by mortals, distant memories that flow through the ley lines. But for now, his 3rd act is still ongoing. What is more interesting still is that the line used to read, his 3 acts are still ongoing, rather than just a 3rd, which was then changed to match the original Chinese version. In Chinese, the line says he's currently playing the 3rd act of his life, the final act. Is Scaramouche aware of his dissipating future and his impending death? Or is this death a metaphorical one, before he takes control of his own destiny? The Song of Life says that Scaramouche saw good hearts during his wanderings, which made him want one as well. However, when he got the Gnosis, the heart that he was made for, he saw that it was not what he truly desired, for it did not contain any blessings, but was instead a sacrifice brimming with selfishness, hypocrisy, cunning, and curses, all wrapped in an amiable husk. I'm not sure if we're gonna meet up with Scaramouche anytime soon, as I think the first portion of 3.0 might cover other harbingers and tie in with the manga. It is difficult to say if Scaramouche is headed towards a defection/redemption path, or if everything that he has seen and experienced will finally push him over the edge to unleash his full power, similar to Rosalind becoming the Crimson Witch of Flame. We see through his dreams and his path with Katsuragi that he seems to be capable of empathy and yearning, but we don't know with certainty that it is not an act, or that he is simply going through the motions. We have also witnessed his cruelty and disregard for human suffering. But whether this cruelty stems from pain and regret, or villainy and viciousness, remains to be seen. And that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you think Scaramouche should have some sort of redeeming arc, or if he should stay on the Harbinger path. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more Genshin Impact lore and discussions. See you next time!